Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing this morning? Good? My name is Brian Tan. I am the manager of the Youth Empowerment Fund. I'm going to be your MC today, but we're going to kick it off first with a message from our city's librarian, the director of the San Francisco Public Library System, Luis Herrera. So give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Brian. This is fantastic, and good morning to everybody. And you know, I'm a little jealous because two things. First of all, Brian said you should come out here and say welcome because after all, this is your house. And I said, no, it's not my house, it's your house. So welcome for all of you, to all of you for being at the library. This is indeed your house. And the second thing I was going to mention is that I'm a little jealous because I really, really dig those green T-shirts. I'd rather be wearing that than a stuffed tie. So have a fantastic day. We are very, very proud to be part of Youth Advocacy Day with the library because from my point of view, that's where it begins in terms of empowering young people to navigate City Hall and to understand how important your involvement, your participation is in government. So congratulations to each and every one of you for being here. Can't say enough about our great librarians that work with youth and all that good stuff, but we need your feedback. And so today is going to be one of those great opportunities to tell us all, from mayor on down, about what you need and what makes this city great and how we can make it work better. So have a fantastic day, and it really is my pleasure to be hosting you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Maria Sue, our Director of Children, Youth, and Families. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to welcome you guys to the 3rd annual Youth Advocacy Day in San Francisco. Woo! Awesome. I know that we have lots of young people in the audience today, so I'm just going to ask people to raise your hand, make some noise. So those of you who are from Balboa, whoa! Right on. How about Lincoln? Woo! It's all good. Wash. Where are you, Wash? Is Mission in the house? Yeah. How about June Jordan? Yay. You know, and as I was walking over, I realized we missed a school. We have a young person here from Wallenberg. Woo! Right on. I am so happy that you guys made it through the rain, got here on time, and are so ready to inform all the public officials you'll meet later on about what you think needs to happen in the city. Just a little bit about our department. DCYF funds a whole bunch of different youth programs throughout the city, and at the core of what we do, we believe that young people's voice, youth voice, is the most important to not only guide our program development, but also really lead the policy thinking for this city. So as you travel, as you go through your programs today and learn all about the inner workings of the city, and then when you're meeting with all those public officials, really make sure that you explain to them that not only do you care about education, about transportation, about safety, and about jobs and good programming for young people, but that you also have really great ideas to share with them. So I expect to, when you finish today, to come back with some really great reports about all the things that we in the city will change to make your lives and the lives of your siblings and friends and peers and families better. Another thing I want to make sure that you know, that if you like what you're doing today, to please connect with some of the young advisors, and as well as Bryant and other DCYF staff, because we have a number of opportunities for young people to connect with us, to share, to give you an opportunity to share your voice, such as DCYF Youth Advocacy Council. And participation in the Youth Warrior Fellowship. Are there youth warriors in the room? Right on. And then also participation on the Youth Empowerment Fund Advisory Council. Any EFABers in the room? One, yay. Okay, so without further ado, I want to introduce to you the most important person, or one of most important people in the room today, our very, very youth-friendly, 100% committed to young people, Mayor of San Francisco, Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you. Well, good morning. Is that how youth advocates say good morning? Good morning. All right. Well, as Luis said, welcome to your house, and it's my pleasure to meet you this morning and just to talk with you about what we're doing. Some of you I met last year for the first time and had a chance to explain what I'm trying to do as the interim mayor. Remember that? I've come through this maze a little differently because right now you look at somebody who's gone through his first public election for the very first time. Well, actually, it's the second time because I think I told you the last time I ran for public office was when I was at your age. I ran for senior class president in high school. I never ran for public office before, and then just last year successfully ran for being your mayor in San Francisco. And I remember that your Congress, when you voted me as your mayor. So thank you very much for helping out. I want to thank our Maria Sue and DCYF. I want to thank our school district. Hydra Mendoza is here, and she's my advisor to what's happening in the school district. Clearly, I want to thank Luis and his wonderful leadership on the library because time and time again, libraries have been the center for a lot of our communities, and this main library was built precisely for your kind of involvement like you're having today. So thank you for coming from all the different high schools and being here. And most of this morning will be for me to try to answer your questions about what we're doing. But what I wanted to begin by doing is just letting you know what's been happening in my first term as your mayor and what's been going on in the mayor's office, whether I become a professional politician, no longer listen to anybody and maybe jump into something else and being real political, or am I still the Ed Lee that you thought I would be, which is I spent 23 years working in government. And so I know my daughters went to Presidio and to Lowell. I know those schools a little better, but I know Balboa, Washington, and Mission pretty well too, and Lincoln, mainly because I did something a little different when I was working in government. In fact, particularly when I was working at Public Works, I ended up having to clean all the city. And the way we did it when it came to the schools was we talked to your principals and try to get you involved in cleaning the neighborhood. And so during those years, and still now, we've got these Saturday Clean Teens where a lot of your cohorts are coming out and they're getting credit for working with us on cleaning the neighborhood and beautifying it, planting trees, getting the environment going, making sure the school site looks decent, because I don't know about you, but I hate going to ugly school. When the school is well kept, when it's clean, when the neighbors feel that the students are in and out of the school and respecting everybody's right to having a really nice place to go to, you feel a lot better about the role of the school. So we did that with you as students, with your principals, with many of your teachers, and you got credit for it as well. So that's kind of how I know a lot more of the schools and some of the alleyways and some of the schoolyards, and we even painted some of the benches. We're up in Washington painting the benches red for those Eagles, I think, and a lot of the other school sports areas. We're working hard to make sure that you got jobs when you come out of school. That's what I've been working on. Thank you. One of the things that when I was running for mayor last year, and I had to go to all of these different meetings in the community, and probably a lot of your parents got engaged in telling me what they thought they needed to happen in the communities, in the neighborhood corridors, or at the schools. The number one thing that I heard all the time is help us get more jobs in the city, because people kind of feel that if they don't get jobs, they don't have the income to afford all the expensive stuff that happens. You know, wherever you go here, whether you're going to good restaurants or you want to go to a show, a movie, it costs a lot of money. And it costs a lot of money to even get a car, which I would advise you not to do too early in your life because there ain't no parking. In fact, I would probably want to encourage you to get a bike instead, because I think we're building more bike lanes for you to ride to everything you want to do, and we're investing in our muni system so that hopefully you get around any place you want to go. Because when my daughters were growing up here, and that was only the last 10 years, they loved the whole muni system. They never even asked me for a ride, except maybe on prom night. But outside of that, they were going to see their friends all the time. Says, "No, Dad, we don't need you to give us a ride. We can get on the bus, get anywhere we want." And at that time, it was $10 a month for a youth pass fee. Now it's like 21 bucks, and it's getting harder and harder. And so some of you might be asking, you know, this is so expensive. Are we doing anything about it? Well, we're working on it. In fact, we're working on a proposal that would bring that cost back down for youth in San Francisco so that you can use your muni much more affordable way. Now, some people are saying maybe try to make it for free. We're going to try to get there. We're going to have a pilot program that will try to bring that cost down so that you don't have to be spending that money on that. You could be spending your money on books, on movies, on games, or on things that you enjoy, or stuff that you want to do. Maybe afford one of those iPads and be able to do anything virtually. So we're trying to do that, but it begins with making sure we have a good economy in the city. That economy begins with looking at where all of our economic strengths are as a city. I've been working really hard on that. And then when we create more jobs in the city, then you, your parents, your friends can actually stay in the city longer and not feel the pressure that you can't afford to live in the city. That's been a very big request coming to me as the mayor, is make the city more affordable to allow more families, making sure costs don't go up, making sure it's safe. I think we have a pretty safe city. And once in a while we hear about some bad crime, some bad actors out there, and we have a good police chief working with community, not working by themselves. We're trying to do this whole concept called community policing, working with you, youth. Sometimes when you get on certain muni lines, you kind of looking around seeing if it's safe. And we've been teaching all of you, and hopefully you got the message. You know, if you got iPhones and iPads and so forth, please be alert when you're on muni. Don't become a victim. And if something happens, don't be being a hero about it. You know, let it go and report it in so that we can get all the evidence, because we got cameras mounted and things that we can do to kind of catch the bad folks from doing that. But we do want to make sure that muni is safe for you. Not only affordable, but safe. So you can get around this whole city. So your experience in these years and years to come will be ones where you'll always say, hey, San Francisco is my city. I grew up here. I want to be here. I want to have a family or establish myself, get good jobs around here. You know, San Francisco is a pretty exciting place to be. You don't know this yet, but if you go to any other city, if you go to Los Angeles, if you go to New York or Chicago or Washington, D.C., if you tell them you're from San Francisco, people turn their heads. What? Oh, you're from San Francisco. What's going on there? Here's a cool place. It is a cool place because did you know we're the headquarters for Twitter? Yeah, we're the headquarters for Zynga. We're the headquarters here for Salesforce, all that stuff they call cloud, when you put all the data in the virtual here. It's all headquartered right here in our city. And what I'm trying to do is make sure those technology companies like Twitter and Zynga, Salesforce, you know, when they started here, they were looking for talent. They were looking for people that would do the fantastic, brilliant engineering that they could have so that they can put it all on the social platform and let people use all their products. That's why they've grown to billion-dollar companies. But they're located right here, and all of their talent has been right here. Well, what if you had a chance to work for those companies? You know, those are just three. There's like 200 or 300. There's 1,500 technology companies right now in San Francisco. Some of the names of which you haven't heard about. Well, you probably know more about them than I do if you've got them on your iPod or on your iPhone or your technology pad, because they are producing all of the different applications that you might be using, whether it's music, whether it's finding out where you're at, or Yelp, or some of the other things. They're all located here. Many of those applications are created here. In order to get these jobs, you got to have the same talent that they're recruiting. And that's why I want you to make sure you pay attention to your education, because if you got good grounding in your basic stuff, and if you get to college and complete it, these jobs are ready for you. They're going to be right here in San Francisco. People love coming here and living here and working here, and they're going to pay really good salaries. So that's what we're working on, to make sure our economy is strong, make sure those jobs are here when you're ready for them, and you got to get ready for them. We're using your time, too, in making sure you can get ready. It's not just what happens in the classroom. It's also what you do for yourself and what we can do together. And so we got two things going. In the next month, we're going to announce something in concert with President Obama. He's putting this whole program together, and we're one of the cities that are going to experiment with hiring youth to get into the private sector for internships, both paid and unpaid, but internships that will expose you to the work experience working in these private companies. And there's going to be thousands of these internships available to you so that you can choose where you want to go. We're going to announce that in April in concert with cities across the country, and this program is called Opportunity Youth. It's going to be aimed at people your age to get these internships, so be ready for that announcement. We've been doing pretty good as city government, hiring many of high school youth through a lot of programs. We've been hiring thousands of you. I didn't know that. Different programs that we've had as the government. But now we're challenging the private sector with all these companies that are moving into San Francisco. We wanted them to join us to give opportunities for our young kids to be exposed to the jobs that they might want to have in the future. It could be engineering jobs, scientific jobs, tech jobs, all kinds of things that you can learn. The second thing I want to announce towards youth is we just got a pretty big grant from the federal government, Department of Labor. We announced it a couple of weeks ago. It's a $5 million grant aimed at youth in the city. It is called Tech SF. And, technology is the future. You got to know that. You got to be pretty skilled in technology in order to do any job well in the near future, particularly in your generation. And so Tech SF is the money that was granted to us as a city is to be aimed at those entities that help train kids like you and others to the technology skills so that you can get a job at IBM or Twitter or Salesforce or even financial banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America. All of these technology jobs need the skill set. So this money is going to train people your age and a little older to get those skills. And it's a good opportunity, and we're working with entities like WestEd is one of the groups. I think the other group that was being funded here for that was, Year Up. That's been putting those skills together, and you can get enrolled in these nonprofits, and then they'll recruit you, and then you get job training. Well, I saw some of the kids just a week ago graduate. They're smiling, man, because they know that they got a future with all these companies, and they can move around and choose what it is that they want to do, whether it's in the music industry or in the financial industry or in the social services industry. All of that is going to be tech-driven. Well, I've been spending my time on that and on job creation, making sure the city is safe, making sure that we deal with our budget and all the other things that go along with being mayor. But it is kind of exciting for me because it's the first time I ever did this. I've not been a politician before this, as I explained earlier, so some of this stuff is coming at me in a kind of new way. But I have been working for government for 23 years, and I try to use that experience in making sure I make good decisions on your behalf and on your parents' behalf, on your family's behalf as well. So with that, some of you had some questions for me. So if I can just take a few moments, I'll read these questions off and see if I can answer them and see if see if the answers resonate with you, or maybe you can help me figure out some of this stuff. So here's a question one of you asked. Why does private property have to clean its own graffiti, even if it's incredibly small? It's happened to my house, and we can't afford too much. So everybody knows what graffiti is, right? All right. Some people say graffiti is cool because it's artwork. Well, there's a definition of graffiti. Some of that artwork could be cool and could look good, but the definition of graffiti versus artwork is one basic difference. Artwork is permitted. Graffiti is not permitted. In other words, graffiti somebody's doing on somebody's property without their permission. So it's not appreciated. And that's the big difference. Now, we've been trying to get rid of that kind of graffiti because it wasn't planned, it wasn't approved, and sometimes it's just people scribbling stuff, you don't even know what it means. We've been trying to get it out of the neighborhoods because if you let it go, more people will then do more of it, and then all of a sudden you got stuff that's written all over the place and it looks pretty bad, and it's cluttering, and it doesn't add value to the place. There are areas where we have made it permissible. There are graffiti artists that we've invited in to help us do art in the city at places that we pre-approved, and we're working on even more spaces for that. While that's happening, our neighborhoods need to make sure that it's clean for everybody. And so we are enforcing laws on both private and public property owners together to clean that graffiti. Now, if you come from a household where you don't have enough money to do it, we got a program through our Department of Public Works. If you call 311, if you get your parents to call 311 and tell them what's happening at an address where your house or somebody's property got graffitied and they cannot afford to abate it or to clean it up, we have a program where we'll go out and help as long as you work with us to help make sure it's kept at a low pace and you report it in. And that's how we can help people without a lot of income. Okay. Mayor, how is SF's budget? That's a good question. I think it's getting better. I don't know if you understand the amount of deficit that we have, which means that we haven't been able to balance it yet, and we're just beginning that process to balance the city's budget. But we have to balance 2 years in a row now. We're no longer just doing a one-year budget. We have to do 2 years in a row in order to get a little more steady idea of our revenues and all of our debt. And so the budget is a pretty complicated thing. What I'm doing is I already got a whole schedule to bring out all of the different departments to talk in the community, to talk in your neighborhoods. We're going to reach every supervisorial district in this city with a budget meeting to let them know how we're dealing with the budget. And there's a lot of stuff in that budget. There's funding for police, for fire, for libraries, for parks, recreation and parks department, for human services, for health. There's a lot of stuff in that budget that gets very complicated. But I would say overall, we're doing a better job. We still got things to catch up in the budget to the tune of about $170 million we have to figure out for this year. Next fiscal year, the years begin in July 1st. We got to figure out another about $350 million of gap to figure out. And we're all not going to do it by just cutting programs. We're going to try to figure them out in a collaborative way about how we can get more revenue in, hopefully not by taxing people or raising so much fees or increasing parking so that you and your friends get really sorted about all these fees that are going up, because as I began earlier, it's already a pretty expensive place to live, so we don't want to make it harder for folks. So we're trying to come up with some ideas to generate revenue that wouldn't cause more problems in the communities. But we're getting better, and each 3 or 4 months, we kind of get a report from how all of our hotels and our restaurants and our revenue-producing businesses are doing, banks and everything else. And they're telling us that more people are spending money to buy stuff these days, and therefore we're getting the kind of a tax revenue increase. Things are looking a little better, but we're not out of the woods yet. So we're going to still try to make sure we have some discipline in the budget process and that we don't overspend what we don't have. How can the mayor work to create jobs for youth? Well, I think I answered that earlier with those programs. I would like to work with all of you, your ideas about stuff that you want to do in the city to not only have jobs and get income, but what would make it even fun to work in this city as well. When I grew up, I had all kinds of jobs. I was working in my dad's restaurant. I was working at other people's restaurants. I did everything to make a little bit of money so that I could go see movies and hang out with folks, play ball. And we even had to pay for the gyms that we played in growing up. So we had to kind of get money for that. And bus fare and all the other stuff. I think that we need to continue increasing job opportunities for our youth so that you can get into the ability to afford the stuff that you want to do, or even be able to afford some of the technology appliances or applications, whether it's iPods or iPads and those sorts of things. Can you clean up the bums and the litter, please? That was somebody's question here. Well, I don't know, whoever wrote this, when you say clean up the bums, you mean you want me to give them a shower or something? I don't. I think you're saying is that you see a lot of people on the streets, right? And they're sleeping in doorways, and they obviously might, there might be a smell associated with areas in which, alleyways in which you walk or something like that. I think that's what you're talking about. Well, we're working on that more and more. There is homeless folks out there that refuse to come into the shelters. We do have shelter space for them. I just announced a new director of housing opportunities, partnerships, and engagement, a guy named Bevan Dufty, who used to be a supervisor here in San Francisco, and he has a really strong passion for helping folks get off the streets, because it's really not a good situation when people are sleeping in doorways and so forth at night, and then they can't clean up after themselves, and then they're using the streets and the sidewalks as places for doing their cleaning up. And therefore, we're trying to coax them and persuade them to get into our shelters. We have this program called Homeless Connect, where we use a whole day where we bring everybody in that wants to volunteer, and we have people that are volunteering to do dentistry, to do haircuts, to get them into shelter, get them some counseling if they have some mental issues, or advice that they need, all kinds of things, even helping them find a job. And that Homeless Connect project is done once every 2 or 3 months here right across the way at Bill Graham Auditorium. And we've been trying to get people to make better decisions. They can even do their mail there and talk to their families to try to get help. And one of these days, if the Youth Advocacy Day wants to connect up with our Homeless Connect, I think that would be a good project, because, being homeless is a serious situation. I don't ever want you to ever get in that situation for yourself. But people find themselves doing that because of drug addiction, or because they couldn't figure out certain things, and then they got into alcoholism or something that they couldn't get out of, and then they lost their home or lost their apartment, and then they end up getting into the street life. It could happen to anybody, to be quite candid with you, if people don't plan their lives and don't set themselves up for success. And I want you to at least spend some time with me to try to be in that world for a moment, to help to understand what people go through, and then to try to then determine for yourself how you can help change that. Because I think it really is an eye-opener. Because right now you're just seeing folks on the street, and you're going to have an attitude just like I did for many years is, how come, man? Just get your life, get it in order. Do something. Don't be hanging around like that. But it isn't that way for a lot of folks. They went through years of struggle, and they couldn't figure it out, and we're trying to find ways to help them figure that out. And so hopefully one of these days you'll join me, because I think you'll see the value when we run a whole city, how we create these programs to help people out and how we try to make them get to the right choices. Because it is not an answer to throw all these folks into prison. That's not the answer. We went through generations of that. They come out and they're worse, or they can't get better. So we have to do other creative ways, and I would invite you to work with me on that. And so that what you see on the streets, you'll understand what we have to do to change that situation together. What are you doing to help our LGBT community as far as marriage goes? All right. Well, we're a city that understands the freedom of marriage, that you ought to be able to marry anybody you want and to live your life with anyone you want. We have that kind of freedom here in San Francisco. However, we have a state law now that says that was passed, that is now being challenged in court. That state law restricts marriages as only between men and women right now, and they will not allow for gay marriages at this time legally. We tried to modernize that law a couple of years back, and then the courts determined that that was not going to be legal. So now we're in court challenging it, and we're awaiting a court decision at the federal level to help us make the final decision. While that's going on, we're always getting ready in San Francisco to allow people to be marrying anybody that they wish. And we're still keeping that spirit up. We're part of the cities across the country that are litigating against the other side that's preventing this from happening. So that litigation is going. Meanwhile, California's behind. There's some almost 10 states already throughout the country that have legalized gay marriages. And hopefully this state will do so in the near future. Okay, so last question. My dad works about only 2 months out of 12 as an electrician in the union. When will he find full-time work? Well, what I said earlier, that's what I'm working on every single day. I go into the office, is trying to make sure we create jobs for everybody, making sure we do the good development in the city. For electricians, I'm surprised because we're moving in a direction where electricians, you get a lot of work in the near future. We've got, I'm a big proponent of electric vehicles. That means you have to build all these charging stations. You have to work with all of the different electrical apparatuses to charge these cars. I'm a big proponent of alternative fuel vehicles as well. My own staff, what I get around in the whole city is called a Chevy Volt. The first 35 miles is purely on electric. So we're going to continue that. We're going to continue building projects in the city that are approved, where electricians can get a lot of jobs. So there's a lot of hope. Check in. Whoever wrote this question, please have your dad check in with his union early, because we got a lot of projects that are online about to be approved. You see a lot of work down in Mission Bay if you get down there. Hospitals are going up. They need a lot of electricians going on there. We've got a lot of projects going, and we're going to have a lot more online pretty soon so that the electricians will get to work. Thank you very much for asking these questions. I hope I provided you with some detailed answers. Congratulations.
All right, let's give it up one more time for Mayor Lee. He's a really busy man, so it was really exciting to have him be here and set aside a good half hour to speak to y'all. Thank you for those of you who actually asked questions as well and wrote them down. So I know we kind of have to move along with the ceremonies here, but I want to ask you guys, so does anyone know what advocacy means? No? Because today's Youth Advocacy Day, so we want to make sure you guys know what today is about. So, anyone? Advocate, have you guys heard that word before? Yeah, what does that mean? Someone want to shout it out? Go ahead. Speak out, yes. So I Googled advocacy this morning. So I went on Google, I typed it in, and it says support for or recommendation of a cause or policy. So it's about speaking out for something you believe in. And today is really a day about bringing your voices to city government and to city hall. So I know the mayor only had a limited amount of time that he could do that with y'all, but we've lined up lots of city departments, lots of city officials, supervisors, to all meet with you to hear your voices and your opinions about what city government should do for you and your families and your communities.